Goody goody everyone, this is Dayhawk bringing to you episode 36 of Shaman King '01. So the episode starts off with Lizer getting bitten by Boris, and Millie tries to attack Boris, but she almost got herself killed, and luckily, Ryu and Horo beats Boris, which pushes him out of the catacombs and leads him out into the movie theater. Because believe it or not, the catacombs are also underneath the movie theater. So it's beneath the church and the movie theater. So everything is connected there. Uh, and so they rescue Millie. Lyserg is still unconscious after the bite. And Yo tells Ellie and Millie to leave, find shelter, while they handle Boris. So they escape the tunnels, and the boys go up to the movie theater and have their final showdown between Boris. And so the girls escape, and they go out. They go out from the church, and they are greeted by the X-Laws, and they're pretty much determined to kill everyone and everything inside of the church. And as Marco was about to head inside, Millie blocks their way, saying that you're not going to kill Lyserg, you're not going to kill Yo, you're not going to kill anybody in there. And Marco just pulled out his gun and just held it in gunpoint at Millie. A little girl, I mean, come on, they're supposed to be the good guys, and yet they pull a gun on a little, pull out a gun on a little girl like that. And Ellie comes back and tries to help Millie, and then the rest of the Lily Five broke away from the rest of the X-Laws, and they tried to defend the church, and that's where it leads to the first showdown between the X-Laws and the Lily Five. Let's see. Meanwhile, back in the movie theater, Ren exposes the truth about Boris and him being a vampire that was all a lie. And Lyserg regains conscious, but he's possessed at this point and tries to attack Ren, but he ends up missing, and instead he captures Yo. So as you already know Boris' secret by now, as I already explained it in my 2021 video. And for people who already read the books and already seen the '01 version, you really know the secret that he's not a vampire at all. He's just using his oversoul, his cape, to create illusions and all that. So I don't need to explain further. And then they're in a pickle, because if you remember, he did the same trick. So he unleashes these pillars, whatever, on Ren, Ryu, and Horo, and then you have Yo hostage while Lyserg is holding him hostage. And Boris is like, if you move, then he dies. If you stay, you die. So they're in a tough pickle. And you get to see Lyserg trying to talk through the possession, and Boris was in disbelief because he's surprised that he was able to at least talk. And he said to Yo that please kill him, and it's for the greater good, you promised. And typical Yo, he's just like, he smiles and he said no. And there's a cutscene in there where you see all three boys are like in shock. And I'm like, ah. And Boris like, what the hell? And then Yo just lets Lizer bites him, just lets him bite him, and with, of course, more disbelief on Boris's eyes. And um and then while he was getting bitten, sorry, I can't talk today. um the pillars gets destroyed, and um and then the truth comes out, and they pretty much uh took two and two together and realized that Ryu and Horo were never vampires to begin with. They were just possessed by a spirit. And so what ended up happening is that Amiraamaru was not seen in this episode until it was revealed that Amiraamaru was inside of Yo this whole time, because if he was in his Yo's body the whole time, I'm guessing just like Ren knew what was going on. And so he let Lizer bites him. That way he gets possessed, but instead of getting possessed, Amiraamaru, who's been inside of Yo in the whole episode because he was nowhere to be found, now we know why, captures Boris's spirit ghost. And so the plan worked. And here's the thing about Yo that people tend to underestimate him, is that he's lazy, laid back, and just dumb based on appearance and his personality, right? But he's very smart, and if he notices something, he tends to, okay, I know what's going on. Just like Ren, he kind of at the same level when it comes to realizing what's up, and he comes up with a plan right away. And his plan worked. Boris's guardian spirit has been captured, and Ren defeats Boris, and which knocks him all the way to the wall, and you can see all this giant crater on that stuff, and like, oh. And Yo was like, isn't that way too much? I'm like, no. He's like, no. And so as the team was approaching Boris, the reason I can't say his name is because I'm gonna butcher his name, but I'm just gonna say the vampire hunter from the beginning of the other episode. His guardian spirit comes in between them, and you can see him in tears, like, please don't kill him, you don't understand. And Amiraamaru was like, why? Like, he made you do all these bad things, why are you continuing to protect him? And that's when he tells his side of the story of what happened. So after killing Boris's parents, he noticed that the bodies are not turning into dust, because as you know, once you kill a vampire, they turn into dust. In this case, it didn't happen. And he went into shock. Like, wait a minute, so I accidentally killed two innocent people, and I don't know what happened to the child. He was pushed over a cliff and landed in a river, and he's like in a state of shock at this point. And it cuts into this scene where you see him in the graveyard, just in the rain, just in shock. But I assume that he'd been, because he even said so, that he was looking for the child maybe days, weeks, months, even years. He was looking for the child and maybe find a way to help him, maybe raise him, whatever it is, to make up for his mistake. And so it led him to the graveyard. And then, after years of searching, he finds Boris as like a young adult, but you see him next to Hal. And that's when um nothing really happened. There's no talking, no nothing. But Boris took out his sword, and the head vampire hunter just stood there and took it, and he smiled. And he died. Now, I'm not sure exactly how he got Boris got his spirit back, either by his making or by the help of Hal, but either way, the man who killed his family has become his guardian spirit. And I'm sure whether it wasn't possession, I believe it was free will, because I think it was a way of atonement for what he has done to Boris, and he would do whatever he could to please Boris, because when you make an awful mistake like that, you feel dead inside. You killed someone's family because you assumed that they are evil. In this case, he assumed they were vampires, and it was his way of giving back. And it's really sad. And when you realize it, in the 2021 version, he was tortured to death, and that's when he turned into his guardian spirit by force. Here, his backstory is really sad, that he's willing to help Boris even though he has turned to evil and hates humans because of what happened, you know? And as he was telling the story, Boris tries to make a quick getaway, but unfortunately, he couldn't make a clean getaway because he encounters the X-Laws. And so the X-Laws has him cornered, and they were about to execute him, because, as we all know, if you're a member of Hal, you're executed. There's no such thing as redemption. There's only good and evil, and good triumphs over evil, and in their way of saying good kills evil. And Marco just says that as an excuse. As he was about to kill him, comes between them, saying that you cannot kill. It's over. Just let him go. And he gives the whole speech, and just like in the reboot, Yo triggers Marco by saying, if you go this route, if you kill him, you're no better than Hal. And that's when he gets all cuckoo crazy. And that's where he unleashes his, like all of the X-Laws from that particular scene, unleashes their angel spirits. And you see Marco's main spirit, I think it was Michael, with the sword pointing at Yo. And you see his friends running to save him, but then something happened. Boris took the sword shot. Boris took the blow, and he looks at Yo and just said, Yo, Sama, and then he's gone. And you see his guardian ghost all crying and trying to get him, but he disappears. And everybody was in shock, because Boris was like a villain, but he ends up saving Yo's life. And I want to save it to the end, but Boris dies, and the X-Laws pretty much finish what they set out to do. They end up leaving, and then you could see Yo's shocked look on his face as Lyserk goes to them and just walks away and just walks with the X-Laws. And Ryu was shouting at Lyserk, hey, what are you doing? Why are you going with them? And let me see what in my notes. Lyserk pretty much tells everybody that he's weak. I'm not strong enough. I'm not like you, Yo. And it just gives out this, you could say excuses, but it's just, I think his feelings of what he felt inside, from the inside, that he is not at their level. He feels that at his state he cannot get his revenge, and he feels that the X-Laws can help him achieve that revenge, and ends up leaving with them. But not until you get to see what happened to the Lily Five. They were pretty much beaten to a pulp, and as Lyserk was about to leave with them outside of the church, you get to see Millie hanging on to Lyserk's leg as a way of please don't go with them. And Ryu was still shouting out to him like, look what happened to the Lily Five. They pull out they beating up this group of women, even a little girl, and you still want to join them? And he didn't say anything, and he just leaves, and that's it. It's really, really sad. And at the end of the episode, you get to see the Lily Five and Yo, and you get to see Boris's guardian spirit, which again, I can't pronounce his name because I'm gonna butcher it. But apparently, everything is set right, and he mentions, someone's waiting for me in hell, and I need to go with him. And Yo is like, please tell Boris thank you, and please keep him safe, and he leaves. And then afterwards, the girls and the boys didn't really talk all that much, and then they leave first, and that's the end of the episode. I have to say that this episode, it's one of the most saddest, it's one of the most saddest episodes of the whole entire series, in my opinion, because compared to the 2021 version, this episode, the two-parter, was more impactful or more powerful, because unlike the 2021 version where Boris was in shock to see Yo's kindness, all happy, and as he was about to say something, he gets killed by the X-Laws. And here you get to see Boris's act of sacrifice, and I think Gyo in the way gave Boris something he never had since the whole accident, was the act of kindness. It was his act of kindness that made him want to make the ultimate sacrifice for this kid who just showed him like kindness. Because for years, Boris has had a hatred for humans for what happened to his family and his ancestors, because they were accused of being vampires, all because of Vlad the Impaler, and his actions that made people think that this is a vampire. And because of his hatred for humans, that's when Hal came into the picture, telling Boris that join me and we could annihilate all humans and create a world with only the most powerful shamans be able to live and breed and all that stuff, like a perfect shaman utopia. And of course, Boris was on board. And it's really sad. And of course, with Lyserg, we saw this coming a mile away. But even after this sacrifice, Lyserg just sees himself as the weak link, and he feels that the X-Laws can help him become more powerful, and they're the team that can bring down Hal and get his revenge. And it's just, it's really sad. And poor Millie, you can see that she is in love with Lyserg, and to have her last bit of strength, grabbing Lyserg's, like hugging Lyserg's leg, trying and just like not let him go, and just with no emotion whatsoever, you just like tosses her aside and just continues on with the X-Laws into the light. It's really, really sad. And if I had to compare this one with the Boris one in 2021, I have to say this one. Because look what happened. Just look what happened. With Boris sacrificing himself to Lyserg leaving, it's really, really sad. And after watching Shaman King for the third time, it still hits home. It still is shocking to this day. And I don't know, I'm still shocked. In any case, I enjoyed this episode a lot. And if you guys are only seeing the 2021 and haven't seen the 01 version, please, when you have the chance, if you can find it, please watch it. It's really good. And you will see it as day and night. Day and night. And in any case, with Anna and Monta, they hop on a plane and they're on their way to America, so nothing much happens right there. And I think that's it. Well, thank you so much for being here and listening to me ramble. I hope you enjoy this video, and please give a like and a comment down below, and I'll see you on the other side. Johnny!